Over to you, Matt.
Thanks, Ian. Good evening, everybody. Good to have you on. Yeah, Ian's already introduced me. Just in case it looks like I'm watching a game of tennis, I'm working off three screens this evening, so you might see me look a little bit left and a little bit right. But yeah, hopefully engaged enough to take us through the rest of this evening. So that's in front of us there. What we're going to cover this evening. Ian, just checking that you can see the content slide there.
Yeah, we're all good, Matt.
Thank you. So we're going to just cover through some of the improvements that we've made. There's a few for players and also a number for administrators, which is the session tomorrow evening. So just to reiterate what Ian said at the start, this session is for players. Appreciate there may be some administrators and some registrars on as well, having a little bit of a nose and seeing what's improved for players. We'll be coming through some key dates and excuse me, milestones when it comes to communications and how we're going to communicate out to players to prompt them to renew their registration, which is one of the improvements that we've made, which I'll talk about more in depth when we get there. The actual process of players renewing their registrations, which will probably be the shortest process, we'll show you this evening. Any players who are going to be registering for the first time into adult rugby, so that could be people who are just coming to the game afresh for next season, and also those all-important players coming out of age grade and what they'll need to do to register as an adult. We'll talk a little bit about adding attachments, which primarily looks at student and service passes, and I'll explain what those are for players who are on the call if they're unaware of them to date. And then Ian, excuse me, Ian will be taking us through one of the new things coming down the line called the England Rugby Clubhouse. So one of the improvements that we've made so far for players is maybe a number of you on the call may have seen this dreaded screen last season. And the reason that you were seeing that was because we were working with 21 years of, and in some cases longer than that, 21 years worth of historical player registration data. So there was a lot of players who understandably would not have even known that they would have had a registration. They wouldn't have known, they wouldn't have had a GMS account in the vast majority of cases because it was created for them on behalf of them by their club. So when people were maybe trying to register at a club that they'd been at for 6 or 7 years where they hadn't had to register, it was recognised in the system that they may have had an old registration, like I say, from as possibly as old as 21 years ago. And you were met with this not very helpful screen, which didn't really tell you what to do next. So where players, and it's important to start to state that one of the improvements that we should also benefit from this summer is that we're moving from working with 21 years worth of player data, registration data, to 1 year's worth of player data. So naturally, players hitting this type of roadblock should automatically be vastly reduced. But what players will see in favour of that screen from when we go live in early July is this type of messaging here. So it is that little bit of a roadblock, you cannot continue, but it does tell you the main reasons or the more likely reasons why you are unable to continue to that point. And it's largely going to be, or mainly going to be, that you've got a registration at another club. And even if it doesn't cover those three main topics or those three main reasons there, we kind of got that capture all one there near the bottom, and they've all got embedded hyperlinks within them, which then turns and signposts the player, not only to help them to understand what the roadblock is, but also to go out and get some support. And what we hope this will also help is just reducing that little bit of admin workload onto our volunteers, so players will be able to do a little bit more self-help rather than just saying, right, I don't know what to do, I'm going to go to my registrar at my club. So hopefully that will dial down that input needed from registrars. That's the main kind of signpost and improvement for players. Key dates and communications. So the 1st of July will be what we call the season switchover launch date. So that's a Tuesday. You may start to see parts of the season switchover go live before that, but our commitment to the game is that when you log on the 1st of July as players, you'll be able to go in and renew your registrations, or if you're registering for the first time, you'll be able to do that also. But like I say, in the days leading up to that, you may start to see some of the functionality released into the system, as generally as how these kind of rollouts are kind of phased. But from the 1st of July, be when you'll be able to carry out your renewal tasks and your registration tasks. From the 7th of July, so the week after, we will start communicating directly to players to prompt them to renew their registrations. So just to be clear, these are players who will have an active registration at the end of this season. So we're going to go into a blackout period. We're going to turn player registration off on the 23rd of June. Nothing is deleted whatsoever. So everybody's playing record and registration records, as even before the new system, are completely retained. We will just be converting active players to renewal required. And on the 7th, or from the 7th of July, that will be when we will start to email those players that we're able to email. Again, hopefully starting to share the admin tasks with our valued volunteers, and hopefully that the prompts that we can provide from the centre, as it were, will nudge the players to get them to renew their registrations. Another improvement that we've had by default, really, or actually by design, I guess, really, but a bit unfair there, is the data quality, or what we call the data quality, is vastly improved. We're now able to contact way more players than what we were this time last year. So I think this time last year we were only able to contact around about 31% of our players by email. That's now up to about 87% and climbing. So again, hopefully, just starting to realise that benefit of reducing a little bit of burden for our volunteers, and we can share that and prompt our players to register. Excuse me. When a player registers, they will come out of that player kind of email and communication journey, and then they'll come into some more welcome journey content, some of which Ian will cover later on with the clubhouse stuff. And we will send a number of emails to prompt the players to renew their registration, and at which point there will be where we will cut that off. But that's TBC at the moment, but that's likely to be around about the beginning of September. So the comms to players directly, so players will be able to renew their registrations and register afresh from the 1st of July. The comms and the emails, hopefully you're realising that benefit of sharing that admin workload. The emails will start to go to players from the 7th of July, and they will be sent in buckets, as we call them, throughout that week. So if you've got some mates at a club down the road, or at a different level, or in different parts of the country, so, well, I've had my email, but I heard you haven't had yours yet. It will come, providing that you're a player that we can communicate with, and then around about that 87%. But like I say, they are going to be phased in terms of how they're sent out. So into how players are going to renew their registration. So this is the mobile view, and I think we're around about 75-ish% of our sessions in GMS these days through our mobile optimized views. The things to point out here are that this is one of the smaller number of issues, but still an issue that some players were facing last year, is you need to make sure that you're in the right organization. So if you want to renew your registration at Timeless Testers, you need to make sure that when you're in the mobile view, and it's similar in the desktop view, that you are in the Timeless Testers organization here. And if you're not, you click on those, or you hit rather those double arrows there, and then you will be able to toggle between the organizations that you're already a part of, or you'll be able to search for a different organization. But that's a really, real important one. We did get some feedback from some players last season, or this season rather, where they weren't seeing this kind of button here to renew their registration, which unsurprisingly, hit that and you'll be able to renew. But the real key thing is to make sure that all players are in the correct organization. And I'll just play a little clip here now as we work through, which will show you what you look like once you hit renew. You'll go through a real simple form. You don't need to re-input all of the things that you did last season as a player. You just need to hit renew, scroll to the bottom if nothing has changed. So if you don't need to update your medical records, if you don't need to update your emergency contact or any of your personal details, you just scroll straight to the bottom and you hit submit, and that's it. That you renewing your registration and ready to go for the rest of the season. The other important thing is that will not need approval from your existing club administrators. Again, trying to reduce that volunteer admin is The rationale behind that is if your club registrar has approved you at some point in the past, there's no need for them to approve you at the club again. If you're a player who's registering for the first time this season or this coming season, then you'll need to get approval from your club registrar to get that registration approved to get you ready to play. Moving on to those who are going to register for the first time. So just to change it up a little bit, we're just showing you the desktop view for this one. So again, this can be more, but this is mobile optimized, but we're just showing you how it might look in the different on the different kind of platforms. So you'll be presented here once you've logged in, and it's important to mention that if you don't have a GMS account, so if you're not only just new to playing adult rugby, but are completely new to kind of rugby, not just playing as well, then you may need to create a GMS account. And I know Ian's going to put the link in the chat there to signpost you how to create an account, and that will come through shortly. You will then be presented with this dashboard. You will then, similar to what we talked about in the mobile view, you would need to make sure that you're in the correct organisation where you want to register, to play. You have two options. You can either carry on with the organisation that you're already in. So in this, for the purposes of this, it's Sale Sharks. If you want to change that organisation, or if you want to add a new organisation, so let's say, for example, you had a previous age grade registration at Sale Sharks, you've had a little bit of a break from rugby, and now you want to go and play for Sale FC, then you would click search for the organisation on there. You would find the organisation in here, you would add yourself to that organisation, and that's when you can register as a player. Excuse me, I just lost my cursor. And again, just showing you the different views that you will see in mobile. What you'll see here, important to point out, is what I discussed earlier around making sure that you're in the correct organisation. Once you are, you will see the tick available for you there. You'll see how that changes from the double arrow to the tick at Timeless Testers. And then you'll see the link there where you'll be able to press and then register to play. That was a mobile view. This is the desktop view in terms of what you'll see once you're in the right organisation. So your existing one, or where you've added a new one. Click register to play on there. You can either do the quick links on the right hand side, or you can do the big green banner in the front. This will take you to the player registration form, and it will pull forward many of your details from your GMS account. So you'll not really need to go back in and put in a lot of those details. But a couple of things in particular that you will always do, and one you will need to do with each club that you join, are medical notes. So the medical conditions, you have to put that in for each club where you register with, and then you'll need to add your emergency contacts. You'll also see things along that form, such as required waivers. Scrolling down the form here, you can see how these are filled in. If you click yes, then obviously it'll expand it and prompt you to put in more detail. Emergency contacts, pretty straightforward stuff. You will be taken through the required waivers, whether you want to opt into some of the content that Ian's going to take you through shortly, which is pretty good stuff, and we're pretty sure players will want to do that. And then ultimately, you will see the submit button at the bottom, easy for me to say. And then once that's submitted as a new player, that will then go to your club registrar for them to approve. You will be prompted with a landing page here once that's gone through. And then what you'll see then is, if you can just make out that pending player, which has turned to amber, is a further confirmation that your registration as a new player has been submitted, and that's now with your club registrar for their approval. If you're a contracted player, so if you're a player who is either renewing your registration or is registering for the first time, and you get a new contract after the season switch over, then it's important that you will recognize that you will need to, as a player, go in and accept your contract. You will have to approve your contract. So if you are a contracted player, as I'm sure many people would expect, there are a few more kind of status steps that these players go through. Potentially some agents are involved, and certainly contracts are if you're a contracted player, obviously. The player will need to approve their contract. So that's something that you need to look out for as a player in your dashboard, and accept that, obviously, if you're happy with it, to then activate your registration to be able to play. Typically, the higher end of the game, excuse me, but an important step to get your registration valid and ready to go. Adding attachments. So we're going to cover that through the mobile view. And what I'm going to do here is just play that for you. So just before I do that, added attachments can be for a number of reasons, but there's probably two worth calling out specifically this evening, and that is what we call a services pass and a student pass. And I'll rely on Ian again if he can just pull out the details and link those in the chat as to what they are. A lot of people think that they are passes to be able to play student rugby or services rugby in the military, and actually they're not. And we understand why people might think that they are. They are passes that would allow players, or certain players, if they're eligible to do so, to have 2 RFU registrations upon certain criteria. So that could be, I always use Newcastle as an example because it's where I'm based, and Exeter because it's quite far away. So if you've got a student, let's say, whose hometown is Exeter, and they're playing at, let's say, Championship 2 in the women's game, they're probably not going to travel home each weekend to get their club fixed, but whilst they're based up in Newcastle, providing they upload the documents and go through the student pass process and demonstrate they're eligible to do so, they will be able to add a second RFU registration to be able to play rugby up here, and then obviously rugby back at home when they go back home. And that's the same for the services. Again, Albemarle Barracks up in Northumberland, somebody could live and be based around there, and then all of a sudden be deployed to, somewhere in Norfolk, and they would be afforded the same benefit of getting that additional registration. So this is taking us through how we
in order to add student ID or service pass information to your account, then you need to click Add Attachment. You can find this on the quick links. From here, you press New. You see this account doesn't have any. You find the type that you want. Is it a student ID, front, back? If it's services, then it'll be a letter from your commanding officer. You can click Attachment and add the document. Browse the name of the file and upload. This will then save under your attachments. If you click on your profile, click to attachments, and any attachments will display there.
Thanks, Ian. Did that without moving your lips. So yeah, like Ian said at the start there, if anybody has got any questions, please do fire them into the moderated question and answer function, and we will try and get as many of them as we possibly can.
In order to add student ID or service pass information to your
Matt,
account,
you might just want to press pause on that. That's it. Thank you. Awesome. So where to find support will be the next bit. So if we click forward, so we've got our resources to support you, and hopefully you were able to utilize these, or you may have utilized some of this last season if you were playing. So you'll start to see a bit of a social media campaign encouraging registering to play. You'll see some graphics, etc., on various different social media channels. If you need support, so technical support, then you need to visit Community Rugby Help. So technical support could be, you're struggling to access your account, anything along those type of things. It's also the place where if you do, I know some players are also admins as well, but if you need resources there to support with registration, it is there. We've got some digital marketing assets that are being revamped as we speak, which will be available from the 1st of July, where clubs can utilize them to, print off, put in changing rooms, that type of stuff. If you feel that you want to do that, or if you're a captain on here of a team, you're a player and you want to get that message across to your other players, then you can find that information in an accessible place on Community Rugby Help. And the other really useful place is our YouTube channel, which is Community Rugby Digital. So if you're searching Community Rugby Digital on our YouTube channel, you will see that we have a number of how-to videos, as well as we are updating our snazzy video for players, essentially, encouraging registering to play. So do look out for them. The how-to videos really useful for spinning around on Spond, WhatsApp groups, etc., to players, encourage them and telling them, showing them what they need to do. It's all in a mobile view for them, so it's really easy to spin around. We've had lots of positive feedback on that last year, so hopefully you guys know where to access them and can do so for this coming season. Cool, Matt. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Ian. What I'll do, if it's all right with you, there's a couple of questions coming which are probably more relating to what we just covered. Leo, good shout. So Leo's asked, club registered versus RFU registered. My club has been promoted to level 8 this season. Congratulations. How do we get players RFU registered? That's a great point. And Ian is going to tell me the date of that webinar now, which is specific for clubs in your position.
So it's the 9th of June next week.
Okay, thank you. So basically, we've set aside the 9th of June, and I'm sure Ian will put the link. He's doing a lot of links this evening. Thanks, Ian. We'll put a link in the chat where you can register for that specific webinar, which will be taking those clubs through that exact process of the changes that you would potentially, because you might not want to do it with all your players, need to make if you've been promoted, and indeed the changes that are going to happen to those clubs who have sadly been relegated. An anonymous attendee, existing players moving clubs. Great question. Do they register at existing club first, and then once registered, the new club applies for a transfer like last season? The answer is yes. That is what they do. We recognise that did cause some confusion and indeed some added steps last season. There's two things on that. It should be a lot easier this year because, as I said, last year we were working with 21 years worth of players who had potentially moved every year for 21 years and trying to find out where they were registered. So there should be significantly fewer in number. And we are looking for, we won't have it ready for this season, but the improvement should be there by the fewer numbers of players going through it. But we are looking for a longer term solution to that, and potentially for the season after next. So yes, they will need to renew at their existing club, and then they can be transferred in.
Thanks, Matt. Awesome. Some good questions there. Thanks, guys. So coming soon as well is a new feature that we're introducing called the England Rugby Clubhouse, and we're targeting our players to start with in this area. Essentially, what it is players will be able to log in to englandrugby.com to a page that is linked to GMS, essentially. So where they'll be able to access the clubhouse from their GMS account, so they can register to play. They'll be able to access the clubhouse. And what the clubhouse is a place that houses all their playing statistics based on their electronic match card data. They'll be able to access relevant content, videos of players doing certain activities, access information around head case, so course booking links, their club's information, their status as a player, whether they're registered or pending. They'll also be able to see their team's fixtures, their results, and we'll be able to provide and signpost relevant content for players. We're starting off in the players space, and eventually this may evolve as we move forward, but really focusing in on our players. So that's some visuals on screen there, what it looks like before I bring it to life with a nice little video that we'll just play now, just to finish off, to give you a teaser of what this will all look like.
New users to the Clubhouse will see a wizard stepping them through the key features that are now available. Players that have been selected on an electronic match card will see their personal season stats alongside a headline informing them of any key latest information. Users will see a welcome message as well as when the page was last updated. Their season stats are presented to them, including games played, wins, points scored and tries scored, and this is amalgamated from any teams that they've played for where electronic match card has been used throughout the course of the season. A quick link is available to select their profile, and they'll be able to go into more detail on their stats on our stats centre on englandrugby.com. A set of quick links are available including the game management system, where users will be able to select that link and not be required to log in again, alongside the availability to book a training course and select community rugby help, as well as visiting our stats centre via this quick link here. Content will be regularly updated for players and can be accessed via this scrolling video player. We're going to select a basic tackle technique video.
Hi, I'm Joe Hayes, and in this video we're looking at basic
Need to press play, Matt.
tackle technique.
These clips will be regularly updated to encourage repeat visitation for our users. Club and team information will also display to players, including their registration status, links to teams, and upcoming fixture and latest result information for the team within the club selected. In addition to that, stats will be available, including top team scorers and top point scorers, as well as an explanation around where this information comes from. At the foot of the page will be related content and an additional link out to our Headcase course alongside latest community news.
Cool. So yeah, hopefully you can see a flavour of what that clubhouse will look like for the players. Matt, if you just press pause, thank you. And if you stop sharing that screen, that'd be amazing. Excellent. So yeah, that's what the clubhouse will look like for players. Just wanted to give a flavour of what that's coming soon, and you know, that's been built based around feedback from our players, from the game, etc. over the last year or so now. So real good piece that's coming our way. Matt, any more questions you want to bring to life there?
Yeah. There's one in from Andrew Taylor, and only fair to face this one head on. So I think I'm fair to say Andrew's got some concerns that he doesn't see a great deal of this that will reduce the workload on administrators. Hopefully, there's a few things to say on that, Andrew. Hopefully, the proof will be in the pudding. We do expect it to be easier. We're not going to sit here and say it's going to be 100% perfect and completely pain-free, but we do expect it to be easier, and in some cases significantly easier than last season. We were starting with, like I said, 31% of our players who had a verified email address, with the vast majority of players never logged in, didn't know their IDs, didn't understand what even GMS was, or that they had an account. We're in a much better place now. We've got 87% of our players with a verified email address. So they've logged in, they've verified their email address. We've also got over 108,000 registered players, which is significantly more than we expected to see. We can also see 76% of our players are actively logging into GMS as well. So yeah, it's a fair shout, Andrew. Let's see how the season switchover goes. We'll be reaching back out for sure once the season has started and people have been able to do that, to get feedback from the likes of yourself to see how you think it's gone in particular to last year. But yeah, it's a fair shout. We do expect it to be easier. We can see significantly tens of thousands of more players engaged in GMS than what they were this time last season. Not going to say it's pain-free, but we do expect it to be easier. But yeah, you can hold us to that, and we'll come back out kind of just after the season started and see what people think.